Welcome, champions. This is Arcadia. Not too long, obviously, after that, Tori was making his first feature film, Invasion of the Undead. So I decided to quit my job and help him do whatever I could to help him make that film. And again, I learned a lot about myself. I think the best thing I learned was how to work with other people and just the connections with people. And that was the first time I got to meet Dylan Schettina. We met on Invasion, and of course, he's one of the writers and a great friend to me. Those times were special to me. Not too long after that, some of my other projects were I did a cinematography for Alan Sanders. He made a series that involved divorced parents and how kids dealt with that. And I got to work with Caitlin Nacon, who was Enid and in The Walking Dead. So I thought that was really cool that I got to work with her, especially before she was big. I already knew right off the top that she was very talented on set. So seeing her in Walking Dead was not a shocker to me. I think the next major project that I was involved with was Dead by Midnight. Tori was working with U42 with Tony Reams. And when I found out that he was doing an anthology, I told him I wanted to do it. So he gave me green lit that I could do it. I went and wrote a script with Sean Pink, one of the other writers of Arcadia, and I tried to figure out what was the best thing I could do to make a film. What do I have access to? And my mom had hundreds of dolls, from cute little innocent dolls to actually horror dolls, like dolls that were haunted. Chaz was a big feature of this project. Chaz is like an actual haunted doll. Basically, Creepy Dolls is about a group of individuals goes into a house and the house is haunted with dolls. One of the members talks about his experience in that house, and that's where the funness comes from the script writing and storytelling. I learned a lot about being a director, how to reshape a script and make it tight, because it had to be like 10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 15 pages in script form. It got to, really understand how to direct a crew and the cast, and that was just awesome. I loved a lot of that. But before that, I want to talk about one of my most ambitious projects that I wound up not making, and I wish I did. I read the Bible, and I was reading like the New Testament, and then I went back and read the Old Testament. I've never read the Bible, I guess, throughout the whole thing before, and I always looked up to King David, and I remember getting to Samuel 2 and learning about him. I was excited about him, and in Samuel 2, 11, he does something that just caught me off guard, that I didn't think someone of his caliber, I don't know why, couldn't do, did. He basically just like murdered somebody like in cold blood with his power. And that fascinated me for whatever reason. And I decided to make evil within his eyes, basically just inspired by this idea, the story that happens in Samuel 2, 11. But we were greenlit in general for Dead by Midnight 2, Why to Kill. And I, was playing Final Fantasy 14 at the time. I was heavily invested in it. And I bought shows like Dot Hack Sign, Sword Art Online, and a couple of other animes that, dive into being in a different world. So what if you focus more on heavily MMO games and how someone could get, things could go wrong. And that's where the inspiration for Heroes of Time came into play. And this was set in medieval times, which I'm a huge fan of medieval. I didn't think I could do it at the time. And I remember Tori was like, just do it. So I did it. It involved a lot of special effects, which I wasn't used to doing. So I relied a lot on Tori Haas to help me set up the special effects. But again, I learned a lot about myself and how to communicate with the special effects team when I made this film for the short. And it was a blast. Like I had a lot of fun. And I consider it a success. I think the only thing I took out of that I guess you could say I wish I did more, and it's nothing that was just out of my control, was I wish it was longer. I realized that I wanted to make something. I wanted to make this a reality, like this idea, really dive into it and make it something special and see what to come about this idea of people playing a game and them having to balance their real life with the virtual world. And that's where the inspiration for Arcadia came from. Arcadia First Omen. I realized this idea was impossible for me to do by myself. And all the things I've learned from the past was I am better at making a story when I collab with people. So I knew I had to make a team. And so I asked, as many people as I could. And I winded up, getting the group I did, the writing group I did. And we dived into Arcadia and made something I think so special and something that I am proud of. And I said that if I ever get this completed to how I want it, I'll do everything in my power to get people like you to understand what this show is actually about. And I hope I did. There's a lot of things that we need to still do. When we were done writing, which took us about 3 years, I realized there's a whole marketing side that we have to do. Like, we can't keep writing. We can keep revising this over and over again, but if people don't know who we are, we have an issue. That's why we made this channel, is to get people to know what our project is. And just not that, we have other plans for this channel. Like, I have a documentary that I've already filmed that I'm going to put out. I want to dive into some characters that are in the show and what happens to these characters prior to the show. We're going to dive into that. So that is the goal right now, is for people to hopefully enjoy our world. And I feel like the biggest thing that I've learned about this experience was I was scared when I was younger to basically try to pursue something like this. I thought, again, I was dyslexic and that someone like me just had no ability to create such a world like this. And I was wrong. I learned that I can do something like this. And with the right tools and the right people that could help me accomplish this goal, I can basically do anything I want. So, I thank you for listening to my story. And in general, I hope you get excited for Arcadia, because there's so much more to come. If you enjoyed this content, please drop a like. If you have any questions, please make a comment below. And if you like this video, please subscribe. And Arcadians, be ever vigilant.